On August 6th and 9th, 1945, the world witnessed two events that would change the course of history forever. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki weren't just the conclusion of World War II, they marked the beginning of the nuclear age. To understand why Hiroshima and Nagasaki were targeted, we need to go back to the events of World War II. By 1945, most of Europe had surrendered, but the Pacific conflict continued with Japan. Japan was still fighting fiercely, unwilling to surrender despite heavy losses. In the months leading up to the bombing, the Allies had pushed Japan to the brink with relentless bombing raids and blockades. However, the Japanese government remained resolute, operating under a strict code of Bushido, or the way of the warrior, which discouraged surrender and emphasized honor through fighting to the death. In the United States, President Harry Truman faced a difficult decision. The U.S. had developed a powerful new weapon as part of the Manhattan Project. Initiated in 1942, Manhattan Project brought together some of the world's greatest scientific minds, including Albert Einstein and J. Robert Oppenheimer, to unlock the potential of nuclear fission. Funded with over $2 billion and spanning facilities across the U.S., the Manhattan Project was a massive wartime undertaking. They knew this weapon could potentially end the war quickly, but they also understood it was unlike any weapon ever created, capable of destruction on a scale humanity had never seen. As the first successful test, codenamed Trinity, proved in July 1945, the bomb was ready, and soon after the decision was made to use it against Japan. The idea of using this weapon to force Japan into submission became a contentious but possible solution. You may wonder why these two cities were chosen. Hiroshima was a key military hub, with a large army presence and strategic importance in Japan's wartime production. Nagasaki, though less central to military production, was still home to major war industries. On the morning of August 6, 1945, a B-29 bomber named Enola Gay took off with the atomic bomb known as Little Boy. At 8:15 a.m., the bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. In a flash of light, the city was transformed. The blast was equal to about 15,000 tons of TNT, instantly killing tens of thousands of people. The devastation was overwhelming. Buildings within a mile of the epicenter were destroyed, fires spread across the city, and radiation poisoned the environment, resulting in severe burns and illness. 3 days later, a second bomb, Fat Man, was dropped on Nagasaki. This bomb was more powerful, with a 21,000-ton TNT equivalent, yet Nagasaki's mountainous terrain slightly reduced the blast's reach. Still, the city faced incredible devastation. In the hours following each bombing, survivors faced unimaginable scenes. Many who survived the initial blasts developed severe injuries and radiation sickness. Medical facilities were overwhelmed, and the long-term effects on survivors, known as hibakusha, included cancer, birth defects, and psychological trauma. Just 6 days after the Nagasaki bombing, on August 15, Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's surrender. World War II was finally over, but at a staggering cost. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki shocked the world. In response, the international community worked to prevent future nuclear conflict. Treaties like the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty were signed, aimed at stopping the spread of nuclear arms. Today, the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki are symbols of peace and resilience. Annual memorials honor the victims, and survivors share their stories.